Have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, call for a vote by aye.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bulls eye.
The minutes. Can I get a motion to approve 2 sets of minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve both sets of minutes.
I didn't see anything wrong either.
No, I did not. I'll second that motion.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bulls eye.
Right down to the claims. You still want, we can come back to that.
Yeah, I'm just checking them out here a little bit.
There is no ARPA.
Nope, they didn't have any this claim on.
We can wipe that off. Mona's not here. How about, the sheriff?
Well, I think,
Are they
Josh
coming
is,
in?
yeah, somebody's coming in.
Okay, we'll jump that. And then how about number 8, discuss rumble strips? What's the story on that?
I asked that we put that on there.
Byron's
And
coming in.
the reason is because I continue to get asked about where we're going with it.
Okay,
And I just wanted to have it in here that something's gonna be done. I mean, are we approving the fact that we're gonna remove those rumble strips? Has that been done? Or where's that stand? I know that
the way it was set up, once they get the lights up in the intersection and the new stop sign that's got the red flashing light on, then something was gonna happen to them rumble strips.
Okay, well, that's, the only thing is that the individual would like to have, to know that,
It's gonna happen.
that it is gonna happen. That's where they're at, and the timeline, of course, and I understand that the yellow light's on, the flags are up, everything's up except for the stop sign itself, which you mentioned is on DOT property.
Correct.
So that's where we're holding up right now, but if, once that's done, if we can assure this person by whatever we have to do.
We can revisit this here in a little bit when Myron comes in.
Okay.
Because it's between the DOT and him.
Okay, and then once that's done, then the strips will come out.
Yeah.
And that's, basically, they just want a confirmation that that is going to happen.
Okay.
So, and that's the only reason I wanted it on here, so that we
Okay,
had some
fine.
record of it.
We can ask Myron where they're progressing with that.
Okay, yeah, that would be good. Yeah, that's the only reason that I wanted that on there.
Because I know some of the people have been requiring some of the state representatives to get involved in that.
Oh! Okay.
So that's under.
Well, then, very good.
You could do the number 10 if you want.
Okay.
If I gave you all a copy of that.
Okay, we'll come back to number 10, and that was for the Foundation 2.
So our opioid committee agreed to, we've been looking at proposals from different entities. And as you know, we did the one with ASAC already, and then this is our second one. So they want to provide some services listed in that MOU. Like backpacks and transportation to take them to, what do you call those clinics, methadones and stuff. Morning.
Morning.
So if you're okay, our committee and Ray looked it over and we're all good with it, so we just need board's approval.
You don't have nothing printed out yet.
Gave it to you yesterday, I believe. Can I find it?
For today,
Was in the base pack.
today's packet. Right, I have it.
Well, there's two MOUs, you have the sheriff and then the other one.
Yes. There's a lot of things here that I didn't see.
Ron, do you have it?
Yes.
Yeah, we could just sign his. I don't have my original, I scanned it.
So I will take a motion from you guys, the Benton County Opioid Settlement Funds Grant Memorandum for Agreement between Benton County and Foundation Two.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bulls, aye.
Thank you.
How many copies you want signed?
Just one's fine.
Oh, just Tracy, that's easy. There, there's a second one.
You guys stuck two in one folder.
You wanna hit on the claims real quick?
Sure.
Okay. Bruce, have you looked at the claims?
I was looking at them here, yeah, I was.
You wanna wait a little bit? We can jump to somebody else there.
Yeah, let's jump to someone else, because I just.
Oh, I brought, they all have one too.
Oh, they do,
Thank you.
Yep. So the first one we have is a memorandum of agreement for the benefits, where is it at? The dental and prescription drug coverage. It was supposed to be the employer pays for half and the employee pays for the other half, and I think some wording got messed up in our union contract, so that the employee was paying the full 100%. So this MOU is just to have the county pay for half and the employee pay for the other half. Pretty simple, nothing hidden, I mean,
So we will change
Just like
that.
the problem with the contract is it had a sunset date in it,
Okay.
and it just shut it off. And it should have never had a date in there, and I think that was a mistake.
well, for sure,
I
yeah.
don't think it should have ever been put in there. But I'll make the motion to approve this MOA.
I'll second.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bulls,
So you think we should start changing that currently?
I think so, it was supposed to, it was always supposed to be that way, so I would say it take effect just as soon as possible, if
Not too
that,
late for today's payroll, but the next payroll.
oh yeah, I'm sure. Today's already Tuesday.
Yep, we'll get it adjusted.
We need to initial one of these and
Yeah. You'll need it signed, because you'll have to send it back to me.
Then we'll have to get a copy to Nancy, obviously. And I don't have a resolution number for this, do you? For the,
It's gonna be
25-.
2512. You can have one of ours, Dave, when it's done.
oh, okay.
You guys sign two of these.
Okay, the next one is resolution 2512.
Yes,
Promotion of rank sergeant to the sheriff's office.
yes. So as we talked about, we passed a resolution a few months ago to have a couple of sergeants, patrol sergeants. We did end up promoting Scott Bauman and Tyler Brandt. So went through the civil service process. Civil service did the interviews, made us a list, and this is what we went with.
Okay,
I'll move to approve Scott Bauman and Tyler Brandt as sergeants within the sheriff's office.
resolution 2512.
Yes.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, call for a vote by name.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bulls, aye.
You can sign two copies of it.
Something else we're gonna bring up.
What's that?
Okay? Thank you.
I'll grab them if you want a copy now.
Oh, okay. You also.
Myron, yes, and then
You got one, Jimmy? Okay, I'll get the other one from you.
Thank you. Have a good day. I think I put a contact.
See you guys later.
Yep. I need-
will we have to wait since it's not on the agenda, I'm afraid of, for this EMS? One that's gonna resign and one to be reappointed?
Yes, I have it on next week's.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll leave it in the file.
I didn't put budget work on there, but,
You know, that'll work even better if I just leave these all in the file.
I was gonna tell you too, Urbana has a library now.
Okay,
I'll have to add them in the funding.
okay.
Pass that down. so
She just reached out, I didn't realize that I forgot about them too, but,
Okay,
so you guys okay with that?
and then Ben's got a bill here,
Oh yeah, that is for the Pandora radio, remember how Primer wanted that music playing in the
yeah,
fall?
yeah,
So, that comes out of your budget.
okay,
So if you guys are still wanting to keep that to continue, if you just initial it and I'll put the line item in
yeah.
there.
I'll leave that in here then,
Yep, it's once a year.
that's for the radio in the hallway.
Okay.
All right, now, still looking at the claims?
I was just scrolling through, I've gone through it once and I didn't,
Oh, I just got stuff in it
Next
for
week.
future.
Yep.
Hi, guys. All right, so you guys have the email regarding retention. How much do you guys know about what the Regional Governing Board kind of discussed or approved, or what you guys' I guess, knowledge, so I don't go into all of it if I don't have to?
Just what Ron's been informing us.
I sent you something yesterday too. Yep,
Okay.
from Deb.
All right, so Ron, kind of what did you tell them?
It's in a nutshell, it's, they're offering employees, some stipends, if you be, as our current fiscal agent for our mental health region, will be ending the end of June, and a new group will take over, and then we will be in a district to keep functioning. Instead of everybody exiting the door, they have offered them a stipend to stay, and it goes every month.
Yep, so it's retention, so it's if you stay until the end of the month, and each month is a different amount. So if you stay until the end of February, you get X amount, March X amount, to encourage people to stay until June 30th to assist with the transition and the closing down of the MHDS regions. Because the reality is people still need to be served. Yes, Benton County is in a different district. What that district intends to do with staff, we have absolutely no idea. At this point, what District 7, which is our current mental health region, that's going to be a different district, they're still figuring out staffing patterns. So what they have decided to do and what the Regional Governing Board approved is these retention payments to be paid out at the end of every month, to kind of encourage people to stay to help with that transition. So different counties are they're each doing it kind of their own way. But one of the things that Haley and I kind of talked about was making sure that it also came in front of you guys so that you guys were aware of what the Regional Governing Board had decided. This isn't something that the county has to cover. It's not county dollars. This is something that is 100% reimbursed by kind of the state and the region. It is something that HHS, the state, also approved. So this isn't something that we all just kind of went rogue and said, whatever. But yeah, this does not cost the county
This will be in that next amendment.
Yes.
So it'll be, we'll show it as revenue and expenses.
Okay.
And then we decided we're gonna pay this retention period, the second pay period of the month going forward. So not this current one, but the next payroll.
So, and then as people leave, because it's likely to happen, then Haley and I will kind of figure that out to make sure that if they leave before the second pay period, whatever that looks like, that it still gets,
Prorate it somehow.
it won't get prorated, because if they
It's- have
don't,
to stay through the full then.
Yes.
So that's why we're gonna do it.
yes. So like, if somebody leaves, May 16th, they would not get their May, retention. They have to stay through the end of the month. This only applies to Sarah, Missy, and I, because unfortunately, Michelle doesn't qualify for it because she is considered a provider. Even though that program is 100% paid by the region, it's technically considered a provider. So even though she's also losing her job, she is not eligible for it because she falls under the provider realm. So, which is very unfortunate. There was not a lot we could do about it, but so it's just Missy, Sarah, and I. So I just need you gentlemen's stamp of approval that you understand and you were able to kind of ask any questions and,
Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Region Governance Board's pay plan.
Okay,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Tippit, aye.
Team and I,
Bulls, aye.
done deal.
thank you guys very much.
Where'd she go? There she is.
Myra, you wanna,
We talked to you yesterday.
Yeah,
Nice to see you.
morning.
before you get started, item 8, the rumble strips. Bring Bruce up to what's going on. I'll let him take over.
The last,
Questions?
the last that I understood is that we're waiting to, because, and this is what Tracy mentioned, that because the stop sign is on DOT property. Is that where we're at with that? As far as the flashing light or the lights around, or what type of a stop sign goes there?
Yes and no. Rumble strips are a recommended safety measure for high-density accident intersections. The intersection there, south of Van Horn and Highway 30, based on that safety conference day workshop we had that looked at 10 years of accident history between 2014 through 2023, I think it was.
Sounds right.
There were, I think, 38 accidents at that intersection. 5 of them were what they call a K or A crash, either a fatality or a serious injury. That was a recommendation that was made, was to put rumble strips there. Prior to that, there was a fatality that was coming from the south that came, family members that had come to the board, and the board's action under previous board members said we need to get rumble strips at that intersection and other intersection if we need to. What was talked about late last year was if the county wanted to take those rumble strips out or do something to minimize the noise, particularly in front of Folkman's house, is let's do all of the other safety measures there that were recommended at that intersection, which included a flashing beacon above the stop sign or a flashing stop sign, which would require DOT approval that's been granted, but it would be a county purchase and installation to do on that said stop sign. There were, destination lighting was recommended at that. It's on the south side, it's in the works on the north side. additional flashing lights above the stop ahead signs, which the county have already went ahead and done. It was also recommending updated painting, pavement markings, which with the DOT project as well as with county's restriping, that's gotten updated stop bars and white paint line and yellow paint line through that intersection. Since that motion last year, and it might have been after you asked the question and you came on board, Bruce, but just this year in the last month and a half, I did get some information from the DOT. South Dakota has a standard that they call a sinusoidal transverse rumble strip, sometimes called a mumble strip. That's a 4-foot wide wheel path that isn't grooves, but a ground in depth type of deal that would, I've never driven over one, evidently DOT has installed one on US 218 up by Britt, which would be somewhere up in northwest Iowa, I think, which I think is more of a roller coaster mild effect on a vehicle that would be a feeling aspect as opposed to a noise. Now, there's no way to retrofit that into a rumble strip application, but it's something that I have just learned in the less than the last, 60 days as a possible option. But the rumble strips, I would say, at that location come just as much as a Board of Supervisors direction as it does a recommended practice from the DOT. And it was the Board of Supervisors that said, let's do all these other things at that intersection before we consider removing the rumble strip.
So the last stop then, is get the stop sign installed and.
If you're if you're looking at all of the suggested things at the intersection, really the destination light and the stop sign installation would be the only two things remaining that were recommended at that intersection. That a quote from a supplier that does both the blinking stop signs and the solar powered beacons, it's about the same cost. Either way, you're talking $3,700 per sign to do that.
I would definitely like to see all the signage put in.
Before
Yeah.
anything else, right, that makes sense.
Might be a good spot to try one of these, and I don't know what it takes to put one in.
Yeah, I'd have to ask some questions as to, I've just kind of looked at the guidance standard South Dakota has and what contractor did that for the DOT. I'm assuming they hired somebody to grind that, and how difficult that is to lay out and what their cost would be for doing that. But it's not something that covers the full width. It looks like it's 2 4-foot wheel paths that it's just this, but you're only talking a half-inch at the depth type of deal, but you would feel that as you change. But it wouldn't have a sound that would go to it, or it would be very minimal, I don't think.
Well, it's just the concerned parties were just wondering where it was at and what we were gonna do, and they would just like some sort of an answer as to whether, in fact, once all the cards are in place, that this is gonna happen, is what their biggest concern is, so that's.
I know that there was a suggestion to secondary roads to fill those rumble strips with a cold mix and asphalt loose material that you can put in there, pack in there. I know the DOT did that on Old 363 outside of Urbana. They had a rumble strip that was installed in front of a residence that had probably similar concerns to this, and the DOT had filled that with that. You don't eliminate your rumble strips completely that way. You would minimize the sound significantly that way. The only way you would remove the sound completely would be to grind that out and put new asphalt in, but.
think he answered your question.
Yep, yep, that's what we
All
need.
right,
Thank you.
for what you're here for.
A bridge that's currently, I think, posted 3 tons or 5 tons, I forgot to look that up, that we are drawing up plans for replacement, would be on 54th Street in Cedar Township. Be just south of the pavement a mile, just east of 218 if I recall right. But the property owners on that project are Van Land Incorporated, and Donald Heckroth has his ground in a trustee, or in a revocable family trust. But Van Land Incorporated would have 2/10 of an acre that you would need for a permanent easement, totaling $1,300. A temporary easement, which would be 19/100 of an acre for $200. Grand total would be $1,500 for Van Land Incorporated. And then Donald Heckroth, 16/100 of an acre of permanent easement for $1,040. Temporary easement would be 18/100 of an acre for $190. Total of $1,230 for total acquisition for Donald Heckroth. What I have is purchase agreement for the chairman to sign and the auditor to notarize for each of those two parties.
I'd make a motion to accept the purchase agreement for the temporary bridge project on 54th Street, Cedar Township.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, call for a vote, my name,
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Hey, Myra, you said how many accidents were there in that 10-year time period?
38.
38, okay.
That's the
Thanks.
I said 38, but pretty sure that's what yes, 38 accidents is that full-fledged recorded reports. Let's put it that way,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Any accident that hasn't been in, that may have happened there, wasn't investigated, and a traffic report wasn't filed, could be more, There's sometimes
Okay.
property damage only accidents that might disappear as quickly as they happen, and there may not have been an accident report that went with them, but the ones that were
Yeah, they
looked up and were.
working on themselves.
When that project was going in, I know the county lobbied really hard with the DOT to get an overpass put in there.
Been a good place for one.
Yeah, I don't think it met their traffic count.
I think that was one of them.
And that's been a long time ago, so that's just up and that way. But I do remember going to meetings at Blairstown and,
But I don't believe there's been any accidents since the four lane's been down, has there?
there's been seems to me like there's been a couple where somebody was turning and got rear-ended. Minor, from what we have. And those might have been during construction, actually. Since it's been completed, I'm not in that business all the time, but I don't recall anything.
Now, those 10 years worth of accidents, Doug, would have been when it was a two-lane highway, off Highway 30. So you do have the argument that could be made that you've got a totally different intersection now than what you did with that accident history.
Yeah.
Okay.
Destination lighting would really help things out there.
Yeah.
The claims now, boy.
Yep.
I see you had a couple marked there.
That question, just not happy.
Yeah.
There was one I didn't know about from the sheriff, but I'll ask him.
There was that one for the audit.
Yep,
Ed
I
Bailey?
Bailey,
Okay,
39,000.
yeah,
we paid that partial when they first start in June, we pay some, and then this was the final one.
this is the fun, okay. That was the only question tonight.
Yep,
Okay,
and then the state auditor one is, we have to pay to file it.
right. With them.
Yep.
So can I get a motion to approve the claim?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Tippit, aye?
Seaman, aye.
Bull's eye.
That's done. All right, reports.
Oh, the big one we were all at.
Yeah, it's the only one that I have.
I had conservation last night, I got all my questions answered.
Oh, you wrote down, yeah,
Yes,
good.
I did. What I'll do, I will leave that since I'm gonna have to take off here in 15, 20 minutes. I got it pretty well explained what everything's for. As for the land acquisition, that's coming out. Going,
So take it on both sides.
yeah. Then I'll let, oh, then the other thing is on the building. Do you know, they were suggesting that they have a line item where they had 50,000
That was
in their last year?
Yeah.
So, guys, on the building that they got in there for 100,000 this year is technically only 50,000 out of this coming budget, because they already got 50,000
Come
saved.
back. Oh,
Yeah.
got
They
it.
committed
Got
that.
Right.
Wasn't that for the Hannon
You
building?
understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's for the one that's falling apart out there.
Yes, yes, correct. So,
So leave
only
50 in that.
50,000, well, no, you could leave the 100 alone, because it's only technically only 50,000 coming out of 25, 26 budget, because they got the 50,000 they're carrying over from 24,
Correct.
25.
But I still have to do the transfer, so I have to show it in the transfers and.
Yes, yes. So we can leave the 100,000 alone on that,
On just the building part.
yes. And I'll let you guys look at this other stuff that I wrote down on the other questions.
Oh, with the weed and the,
Yeah, I got
Okay,
it wrote down.
perfect.
So we got two people here, I know. Rick, why don't we get into yours right away?
The fixing of the sidewalks, we talked about. We have one quote, but I don't know how we go about cutting, what I could cut out of it is not gonna be enough. Makes that huge difference. But we had a quote for fixing them that came in at what,
24,000.
24,000? And really about the back of the building's the only thing you could cut, and that doesn't amount to a whole lot. I mean, about $4,000.
this is just the courthouse grounds.
Yes, just leveling the sidewalk, so that's one of those things now, if we pursue it, do we have to go out for bids? With it being so high a price.
I would,
It's less than 100,000, so I don't think we do we?
procurement, you really don't have to, but sometimes just being transparent to have a couple wouldn't hurt.
And then the other thing is, if we had this, we have to have, they were gonna give us a 10% discount, you said, if we signed
Yes, by the end of March.
by the end of March, okay.
That's not including the sheriff's steps or anything.
No, I'm gonna do that probably tomorrow.
That's a mess, by the way.
What's that?
That's a mess, by the way.
It is. I
And
looked at that the other day.
We're gonna do
this,
that tomorrow.
this whole thing came in before we could
Get that.
think about putting it on the agenda to really go over it, so.
I know people want the sidewalk going over to them.
Oh, they want a
West, too.
sidewalk too, and that's a whole nother issue that,
To the west?
Yes.
Or to the east?
to the east.
The path goes through the yard.
The path they have blocked off right now that they're grumbling about.
Well, could be a possibility. Let me run a slide rule. Can you give me the footage, running foot?
Length from the building down to the side, I can do that.
And I can
So-
figure out what.
But this year, we need to,
How many guys in town do we got that, we've got Dan down at Athens.
Yeah.
that does concrete work. but,
We had secondary roads before, but we paid them.
so, I can get a link on that,
Just
but.
give me a link and I can figure out what.
But this thing here, what do we wanna do for sure?
I'll tell you what, why don't you let that here, let these two guys that give them,
Yeah.
look at it today. Like I said, I'm trying to get out here early today.
Yeah.
Let them look at, they got pictures with all the problems, kinda
Okay.
explains everything. You guys can look at that, and then they will get back to you.
Yeah, no, that's fine, because we can always put it on the agenda for
Yeah,
another time,
yeah.
You want me to put it on next week so we don't forget?
Yeah, go ahead,
That's a good idea.
so. Okay.
go ahead. And then, like I said, then we can kinda maybe decide next week if we wanna open it up, you know,
Yeah.
other firms to
That's
bid
fine.
it.
And I'll measure that area
Okay.
over there and send you the link.
Either that or I'll be, like I said, at the sheriff's office tomorrow working on that.
Okay.
So,
That's fine.
all right.
All right, thanks.
Quickly, I want to thank you for your support on Senate File 376. It did pass in the subcommittee, but then it was, the Commerce Committee wouldn't vote for it. I was worried. Just quickly, another thing, and I know you got to go. Clemish I was at a meeting, a town hall meeting last Saturday in Arlington. He's going to bring the bill back as long as he can. He thinks it's a dual landowner issue type of thing. I mean, he didn't make any friends, let's say, Saturday, with his arrogance and that type of thing. Here's a concern that many of us had after we discussed this, and I was at the Buchanan County meeting yesterday, is we're losing our ag representation and our rural representation. Is there any, I know when I was in small school superintendent, we created small schools of Iowa type thing, because the urban 8, all the urban cities, they don't care. And 2 of the 3 people on the subcommittee with Clemish were from Polk County. Well, what do they know about the rural area? Is there any discussion, the Board of Supervisors, to kind of create some type of organization? Because we're losing our representation. We have been the last few years. I remember 15 years ago, Iowa State did a study and talked about the influx of people going back to the cities because, ag has turned into a big business. You don't have the farms that you used to and that type of thing. But are we lacking in representation? And will somebody like Clemish be able to get this through next year? But he said he's going to keep presenting this.
Is he from northwest Iowa somewhere?
He's from Decorah area.
Decorah.
His wife used to own the paper up there, and there's a big family, from my understanding of people I know that grew up in that area, that they have a big family. Plus, he's next year as a supporter of his, all the utility companies, Kroll, Cement, which, they're the ones that make the buku bucks when you have these turbines. You figure per turbine, it's 40 full loads per cement mixer. And the thing that we have to worry about, and I'll quit, but I know in Tama County, and I can't remember if I mentioned this before, is that, Gladbrook had all those turbines. Within the last year, they've increased the height. And the original agreement was that, these companies come in and say, well, they'll redo the roads. Well, guess what? Phase 2, they didn't have anything. So counties have had to TIF district their areas. They've had to do that. And, you people that drive the rock roads, my dad was a county employee for 1 million years. And once you disturb a good rock base, you're, pardon my French, but you're screwed. You just destroyed it. And even though they'll take a video or they'll take pictures, it's never the same thing. And you can go up to New Hampton and see what they've done up there, and the roads are horrible. But figure that, you got 40 full cement mixers on the way out, and then they're empty, they come back, and then you've got the big rigs that come in and widen the roads, and the roads need to go back to where they were. So taxpayers pay a lot of money. It's a burden on the counties, but the companies don't present it that way. And so I didn't know if there was any way that, if it would be something with the Board of Supervisors, kind of would get a rural Board of Supervisors organization to communicate and that type of thing. I know we're doing a lot of communication with the people against turbines, and he made the statement, Clemish made the statement the other day, well, and I know that there's over 50% of the counties in Iowa that either have moratoriums or ordinances that prevent the turbines.
Well, I was reading on that too, the moratoria, once, if the ordinance amendments comply with the provisions of the bill, we get up to 6 months maybe to revise ours. If you read this, the update we got from the, but as far as like, as an association, the Supervisors Association has a representative that goes and fights for them with these
Okay.
things. So it sounds like the consensus is they're all against it, so.
Definitely.
But how many of our elected officials represent the people?
Well, that's why we have our legislation liaisons that go and fight for us at the Capitol.
Because you know, when they had that hearing last week, there was a, oh geez, my mind gets me, but he had it situated, it was only a half hour, but there was a person that, a lobbyist that took up most of the time. And there were people that are really upset in the communication, the people I've got that drove 3-4 hours and didn't get to say a word. And I know the lady from Mechanicsville was there and she didn't get to say anything. And she's got pictures of what they've done. And they don't understand. I mean, where was it within Iowa where they tried to blow up the old turbines and then just spread all the fiberglass? And in Mechanicsville, it's acres and acres. And once that's destroyed, how long is it gonna take? You know, God only made so much dirt, viable earth. So it really concerns me, and this comes from my school background, is the Urban 8 ruled everything as far as education in the state of Iowa. And then we created the rural schools of Iowa, and I don't know if that still exists, but, you know, we need to get more representation, and people don't understand it, stand ag. You know, somebody from Polk County doesn't have a clue. And that's not the only one. I mean, look what's happening, and you and I have talked about that before. Look what's happening over by payroll. Isn't that a shame? And this just isn't, you know, this is eminent domain, because the guy mentioned, Clemish mentioned that Wisconsin and Illinois and stuff like that, and I said, well, this is Iowa. I mean, that eminent domain, we lose that where there's a CO2 pipeline, there's, what else is coming down the pipe, but.
South Dakota now, I just read an article on that they're backing, going against the pipeline now.
Right.
CO2, you know, they're trying to come to their senses.
When you were talking about ordinances, you know, Tama County's being sued right now from Next Era. So, and that's
We've
not
talked
bad.
about that even at our insurance meetings. They kind of give guidance, like what we can do as a board, like what kind of documents will prohibit or not prohibit, so.
Because when we revised the one in Buchanan County last year, the P&Z committee was graded, and we provided the information from all the counties throughout the United States, and so everything was documented in there. And I know that, you know, so if this type of bill passes through, the work that you've done, and you've saved this county, and what we've done in Buchanan County, I guess I live in Benton County, so I'm sorry, but I got involved in the battle. That goes out the window. You have no say, and it'll be determined by somebody in Des Moines. Well, what do they care? It's all money. So,
I just feel with the representation that we got elected around here, this area here, Tama County, Lynn County, Benton County, Iowa County, I talked to them 4 individuals, and our governor, it won't happen.
okay.
You know, it just won't happen.
But it'll be back next year on the agenda again.
Well, it'll be, they'll try to get.
As long as there's still money. When does that money dry up? I mean, how much money is available yet, and when does it dry up?
The guy in the White House right now, if he finally says, all right, you know, if you can build it and make it pay, go ahead and do it. And that's the whole deal, that all these projects, they don't support themselves, you know, it's kinda like a young person buying a farm ground right now thinking they're gonna make enough money off that farm to make the farm payment. It ain't gonna happen.
You know, what's interesting is the ethanol plant in Fairbank. And this is the way they do things with their like Next Era is one, I've researched that. They've got 130 subsidiary companies underneath them. So in Fairbank, that ethanol plant's changed hands 4 different times. And it was after 15 years that they finally got their first tax dollar revenue from the buildings, you know,
Yep.
in Fairbank.
Yep.
And that's kind of the ploy that they do, because it starts all over. And a lot of people don't understand, you only get 35% of the taxable valuation anyway.
Right.
And it takes a 7-year period. But then if we start, and I'm a new owner, I get to start over, because you're gonna give me 2 years of tax-free or TIF, whichever term you wanna call it, so. Anyway, you gotta go, I'll shut up, and then you guys got work to
You
do.
got anything, Doug?
Yep, I got one thing. Are you guys in touch with the Board of Health because of this measles outbreak? I know it's only in 9 states right now, but it ain't gonna take long to be everywhere. And are you keeping on top of that at all or not?
I've asked her.
With them and
I asked her like
Virginia?
2 weeks ago, and so far in Benton County, 0.
Yeah, but I understand that, but I'm just saying, because if it comes and it pops and it happens, highly contagious, it could take off. And I just didn't
believe,
know.
though, I didn't ask her, there again, the HIPAA violation and all that, what percentage our kids in school have the vaccine. I think it's pretty high in Benton County. I really do.
Yeah, that's why I was just curious, because I did see that it added another state in there.
I can maybe.
Some are getting closer.
That'll be a question when I run into her this week, I'll ask her that,
Okay.
what the percentage is. That way there's no names or no.
Yeah, no, just
I'm
numbers.
not picking on
Just
the
numbers,
school
yeah,
system
just-
here in the county.
Just numbers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just
I'm
looking-
sure it's pretty high. I'd almost, I'd
Yeah.
be shocked if it wasn't.
Yeah. Hope so.
Okay.
We don't need that.
Here we go.
Get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bullseye.
I'm gonna let all my stuff here.